Hey guys, it's Matt with Titan Terrain Studios here with another Titans live show. CJ is currently rebooting his computer because the video camera is not working for some reason. So let's kind of go over real quick what we're going to be working on today. I have here, as promised last week, a Malifaux Pigapult, and I'm noticing that I am zooming in. I should remember to do this. Hey guys, it's Matt with Titan Terrain Studios here with another Titan. And excuse me for a minute, guys. I didn't quite have everything set up like I thought I did. Which, if you are watching, feel free to say hi. Now we've got a couple of new people watching us today. A couple of my friends have decided to bug me today. There we go. Turning off the autofocus. All right, autofocus is off. As I was saying before the autofocus kicked in, we've got this Malifaux Pigapult, which, if you're not familiar with this kit, it is really funny and it's really cool. So for those of you not aware, and I'm going to tilt the camera up slightly so you can actually see my head. For those of you not aware, I have been really getting into Malifaux as of late. I am finishing up the very last of the Malifaux Plastcraft set that I've put way more detail into than I probably should have, but it's just such an awesome set and I really like it. That I'll be putting up a finished video of that tomorrow evening. But what this is for a faction called Pigapult. I've done it in the previous shows, and now what I'm going to start doing with the shows is each one's going to be like assembling a different kit or whatever ongoing project I've got. For those of you just tuning in, these shows are basically my way of actually getting a little hobby time for myself. I'm always building and painting other people's stuff, so I use this time to kind of hang out and mess around with you guys and just work on stuff. So the Pigapult is biodegradable. As you can see, it is a catapult that launches pigs, thus the name Pigapult. It's a pretty fun kit. I've got my little lamp right here. Blind now. So I'm going to put that down there so that you guys are not totally blind, but that I can see. And we're going to crack her open. So, until CJ gets back and we start our Game of Thrones rant, because that's kind of the subject of the day. If you have not caught up with the recent season of Game of Thrones, we will go into spoiler mode and we will tell you to mute it. And then we will probably make motions at the camera at some point to tell you not to mute it anymore. Or you can read in the comments below. If you really haven't caught up on the show, though, I suggest you don't watch us today, because we're going to be talking all about Game of Thrones. So let me angle this. Really just need a little bit of light. Stay. Okay. So, opening this up. Brand new kit that I have just purchased. That is incredibly small for what it is. So let's take a look-see here. All right, we got ourselves a card. Oh no! The card seems to have been damaged slightly. It's split a little bit right there. You can kind of see it with the edge here split. Not a big deal. Nothing a little bit of this glue won't fix. I have a feeling I'm going to want to put these in sleeves anyway, because they do have wound markers, and honestly, what I'm going to probably end up doing is I've got some of those page sleeves left over from when I used to play Magic the Gathering a long time ago in a galaxy far away. But I'm probably going to slide them all in there so that way I can keep them all in one spot and then take them out individually into other sleeves when I play. But yeah, there's the Pigapult sleeve, or card. This is actually not as many parts as I was expecting. For as big of a box as this is, I was expecting this thing to be a little bit bigger. Because, I mean, look at this. Look at this. Box sprue. That seems a little large to me. That doesn't seem weird. Miniatures does strange things sometimes, but that seems like a little bit of wasted shipping and wasted everything on that. So now let's hope I'm going to bring up the instructions, because yet again we do not have any instructions in Box with Weird. If you watch these shows or you've watched them in the past, you will probably understand my gripes with the lack of instructions for weird games. All right. And just trying to make sure that CJ is still getting on. Okay, so let's go to Malifaux's Weird Games instructions. Pigapult. And just taking a look to here, I just want to make sure I've got all the parts intact that I need intact. That's not what I was looking for. Downloads. Your downloads, we're looking for, where is their instructions? I will say their website is a little bit slow sometimes. Okay, so now we're gonna search for, finally I found their instructions page, so Pigapult. There we go, found the Pigapult. I'm fairly certain that all the parts are here, but we're gonna bring it up anyway just to make sure. And CJ is back with us. Is your camera still not working, sir?
Does not appear so.
Well, you shall be with us in spirit as a weird voice that bugs us throughout the show.
Let's see. What else could be causing this issue? So it's plugged in.
What's that? All right, so, hey, CJ, you want to see something weird? But did we lose CJ? Did my horrible joke really kick CJ off the chat? Come on, that's not fair. Actually, I'm going to readjust the white balance on my camera so that you guys don't have to put up with nearly as much of this glare as you're getting. So, oh, there we go. Yellow light, yay. There we go, that should do better now. All right, so upon initial inspection of the instructions, this does seem to be all of the parts. I'm going to go ahead and do a share screen share is what I meant to say, to kind of show you what I'm talking about. First, this is a look at the sprue, as you can see it right there. Now I'll screen share, and I'm just going to show you this. So this is the instructions for the Pigapult. It comes on a, looks like a 50 mil base, like, yeah, a 50 mil base. It's not a whole lot of complicated pieces. Depending on how quickly I get this put together, we might put together a couple Bayou Gremlins as well. I like to run the show at least till 8 o'clock, but sometimes later. So that just gives you an idea of how the instructions work. So it may just be me yammering on throughout this today while we wait for CJ, because he's having some major computer problems at the moment. So let's get started. All right. First, we got our sprue clipper, so we're going to start clipping out the sprue. I'm going to go ahead and kind of talk about what's been going on in the studio this week. My birthday was Friday, so I actually ended up not working a terribly huge amount last week because of that. It was, you know, my 30th birthday. I had some friends over on Friday and some friends over on Saturday. And, you know, you only turn 30 once. So I ended up just kind of relaxing for a few days and just enjoying my birthday and taking a much-needed rest after a huge 40K tournament that we did the week before. I'm actually kind of taking a little bit of a break from regular 40K for a while. We're doing a Kill Teams campaign that we've been kind of talking about on and off for a few weeks, actually a few months if you really get down to it, which I'm starting Nurgle for that. I actually printed out everything. My friend Gary actually got me a printer, so I can actually print out army lists now. It's all fancy and such. It's actually just an old printer that he doesn't use anymore, but either way, it was a nice gift, and it means that I didn't have to buy a printer. I also got a bunch of video games for my birthday. I got myself the new Infinity 3rd edition book, which is quite nice. And I got one of the copies that came with the limited edition authorized bounty hunter, so I will be assembling that probably in the next day or so for Infinity Night on Wednesday. Which, you know, you're going to start seeing some Infinity content coming out of our YouTube channel. I'm just wanting to get a few more terrain sets finished up. Let's see. Malifaux Plasticraft set is pretty much done. I'm only down to like 2 buildings that need detailing. And I worked on that quite a bit today. Finished up the stonework. After the Malifaux Plasticraft set, Bearded Dragon boards are going to be finished in the next few weeks. Just going to be hauling through that so that I can get to the Middenheim and Space Hulk boards and all the other sets as well. It's kind of an interesting thing that I've been messing with is trying to figure out where the focus works best. I'm just clipping out all these little bits for the pigs and the goblins. And these live shows are really nice because if I didn't do them, I would never get my own stuff built. And even if I only put together a couple models each show, it's still fun and relaxing to kind of hang out and mess around with it. Currently only have 1 viewer. That's probably my fault because of the fact that I just now posted the video. I'm going to start making the videos a month in advance so that you guys know when and what time they will be at. But if I'm correct, that 1 viewer is probably my friend Tex, who said that he's going to check out my live show. All right, so yeah, so here's kind of what's going on in the studio in the gaming realm. We currently have 3 active game nights at present. One is my Game of Thrones RPG we do on Tuesdays. And then we have Wednesday nights we do Infinity because there's not really a whole lot going on Wednesdays that a lot of us play. They do like a War Machine over at one of the local stores, but I'm just not as big on War Machine right now. I try, but I really have a hard time getting into it. I'm sure eventually the bug will bite me. It's mostly I want to have painted armies. And I'm more excited about painting armies for other games than painting my War Machine. Though I have a substantial amount of Khador. So let's take a look. Already almost all the parts. Oh, there's a jaw. There is a jaw right there. Incredibly tiny parts on this kit. Lots of tiny parts. Be very careful when you're clipping off or you will lose things and you will hate yourself because you'll start searching the floor and you'll be like, where did it go? Why? So, Game of Thrones. I just finished the last season this morning. I actually I've got myself on a regular sleep habit now. No more of these staying up for days on terrain projects and then like being dead for half a week going on anymore. I now like get up like way early in the morning and just grabbing this other sprue and tossing it in here. It's also because I go and help out with the plasma donations every now and then. Okay, so let's start cleaning this. Game of Thrones, I finished that this morning. I thought it was a really nicely put together season, considering how much it had to change from the last two books. The last two books were really rough compared to the first three. The first three were very nicely put together. And then the last two were just kind of fairly difficult. I think I went through the first three faster than I went through the last two. They're kind of massive tomes anyway. Here's something else I'm going to look at. Will this actually fit on the base? Weird Miniatures, please learn to fit your stuff on the bases that you actually design them for. Or release updated stat cards making the bases bigger or something. Because it just, it's frustrating when I have to build up. I've seen this also as people comment on this on the groups sometimes. Right now I'm just going to get the flashing off and then I'll go through. And I'm going to build the catapult first. Check on CJ, see if he's just not able to get on for some reason. So CJ seems to be offline for some reason. I'm not entirely certain why, but he is having some technical issues. So we will just carry on with me talking to myself. All right, so Game of Thrones. Spoiler alerts, if you have not watched Game of Thrones, you probably want to get off this right now. Pretty much what I really liked about this season was a lot of the divergences actually were rather nice. I enjoyed watching Tyrion being over in Essos. About the only one that I agreed with, because I got into an argument with a friend of mine who is a little too much, devoted to the books. But one of the divergences I didn't like was when Jorah Mormont had captured Tyrion, because they got rid of the side characters that had been introduced to keep the storylines a little bit more streamlined and get Jorah back into the main episode to episode thing going on. But Old Griff was his name. Which is a later plot line I'm not going to ruin for people who have watched the season but haven't read the books. But it's when they went through Valyria. That one I agreed was a little weird because Valyria is supposed to be this like mystical place that you don't go near. And I think that in the books, in the last book, one of the Ironborn badasses, like the first Ironborn badass, goes through Valyria with his ship. She's just like, no, we're going to go through Valyria. And it's a bigger impact than when like Jorah Mormont and Tyrion go through it. Mostly because it's just like them in a boat. It's just like, yeah, let's go through Valyria and get attacked by the Stone Men. Which I liked how they depicted the Stone Men. I thought the Stone Men were fairly terrifying. And I thought that was well handled, that aspect of it. Let's see. Okay, as bad as it sounds, I liked the combination of putting Sansa into the main storyline with like Ramsay and Theon. And oh boy, last night's finale episode with Theon. That was just enjoyable. Watching that one thing. I'm trying to not be too spoilery here. Watching that one thing happen with Theon and Ramsay's like girlfriend, I guess, his psycho girlfriend who is all murdery and equally torturing of people. Though I will say, Stannis, not only did he lose me. Oh, look, there's CJ.
Is it working?
Not your video, but just hang out audio for now.
Well, now I'm kind of concerned because I just reinstalled the software and it should be working.
Well, you can look at it later. I mean, we're just talking mostly about Game of Thrones at this point. Well, I've been talking about Game of Thrones. We could still hear you on audio, so that would work.
Okay.
Most people don't actively look at the camera when we're doing these, I think, unless I point something out for them to look at. So I have a question for you, CJ.
What's that?
Stannis Baratheon.
What about him?
What say you to the last episode? Or the last 2 episodes with him?
Quite a bit, actually. Give me 1 second here.
I personally was very sad to see the things go with the direction that Stannis went, but it was logical. I mean, in the books, it was kind of going that way, though I don't think book Stannis would have done the horrible things that show Stannis did. I think also a man that sacrificed his freaking brother, so it's really not that far past him.
Somebody had brought up a very good point to me that he may not have been killed by Brienne.
He may not have been.
No. He may be alive and be tasked to help her get Sansa out of the place she no longer is. And then possibly another option is that he ends up becoming the new captain of the Night's Watch, being banned to go up there.
See, that's just it. I don't think that he's alive because I've also watched the behind the scenes of the episode, and even the producers were talking about, Brienne finds Stannis and executes him. And
but we didn't actually see it.
Yeah, but I mean, they were pretty much spelling it out that way in the behind the scenes. So, I personally don't think Brienne of Tarth would need or want Stannis' help. I don't think she would accept it. She's too stubborn. And the Night's Watch, she would not let him just, bow out that way. Plus, his injuries were pretty severe. And the fact that, Melisandre just abandons him there like that kind of says, this is the final, resting place at this point. Because without his army, without his fire priestess, and with his injuries, what is Stannis? Just kind of like a broken man at this point. He has no wife, he has no children, he has no army, he has nothing left at this point. He's burnt away everything.
Well, it's flickering.
I am seeing nothing on my end.
Like the little blue lights flicker for a second on either side, and then that's it.
But no, I'm actually I'm fairly certain that Jon Snow is going to get resurrected by Melisandre. And this is not necessarily for plot reasons, but for the fact that Kit Harington, the guy who plays Jon Snow, signed up. He signed on until season 7, and they don't do flashbacks in Game of Thrones.
They could start.
No, it doesn't fit with the style of the show. And the fact that they haven't introduced Lady Stoneheart tells me that. And also that Melisandre actually met Thoros of Myr a couple seasons ago and was all like, hey, how did you manage to do this thing that not even I have done? Tells me that she's going to give it a whack at it, and the Fire Lord will resurrect Jon Snow in some form. Maybe not necessarily a good way. Also, some people have theorized that Jon Snow is going to end up becoming a white.
Yeah, no, there's several things that I've seen being brought up and discussed. So, I mean, there's a lot of different ways that they could go with this. It's going to be very, very interesting.
Have you read all the books yet?
No.
See, I'm operating off of some book knowledge too, though, knowing some things that didn't pop up in this season yet. They touched on a lot of things, but they didn't touch on all of them. Was that the only one that, like, my heart broke when that shit with Marcella and Jamie happened?
Oh, yes. It's like, I know you're my father. Now let me die in front of you.
Yeah, the Dornish ladies completely lost me there. It's like, what the hell? Because I'm fairly certain Doran Martell did not okay that.
Yeah, he basically said, stop that crap now, bitch.
Which means now she's going to pretty much get executed on. I really can't wait for next season to come out.
I'm willing to bet there's only going to be 2 more seasons left.
Huh?
I'm willing to bet there's only going to be 2 more seasons left.
Well, they've already talked about it's going to go ahead of the books at this point. Unless he releases Winds of Winter this year. Which, you know, a lot of people are starting to wonder because he writes so slowly that even if he does release Winds of Winter, A Dream of Spring will never be out before the seasons catch up yet again.
Yep. Well, and I mean, there was several comments with people I know that he's not even liking the direction that the show's taking things now.
But he's directly involved with it.
See, somebody was trying to tell me that he's not directly involved anymore. He doesn't have control.
Yeah, he is actually, from what I understand. I saw an interview a while back.
How far was a while, though?
Or last week or so.
Okay, that's recent enough. So maybe that is the case then.
The thing is that the book world and the show world are 2 separate things. Part of the interview also was that, you know, for instance, the Iron Throne in the books is a lot bigger than it is in the show. In the show, it's just like, why are you opening Capture Smile?
Me?
Yeah, it said that you tried to open Capture Smile.
I don't know what the hell it's trying to do.
I would just accept that your camera is not working right now.
No, I am defiant.
You can't spend all your nights talking with that camera and not peeking.
Next thing you know, your computer starts beating you with the mouse.
Yeah.
So, I told you about the Game of Thrones RPG I'm running, right?
Yes. You just got it started, what, last week?
Yes, last Tuesday. So actually, I haven't actually. This is the first opportunity I've gotten to tell you of what the players did.
Yes, it is.
All right, so we got about halfway through the plot. I kind of wrote it to be a 2 or 3 session plot, depending on how long it went. They got to meet their Banner Lord. I also decided to throw in a random Night's Watch recruiter that showed up on their door, like very beginning of the session.
Okay.
And it kind of got them to familiarize themselves with it. At the last moment, also, the Maester hadn't really decided what house he was from, because Maesters have to be from a different house from the one they're actually assigned to.
Right.
And he decided he's going to be from a branch of the Lannister family.
Okay.
So, he's kind of playing himself as very cocky and arrogant, and talking over the lords and the lordlings at times, and them kind of looking at him and being like, dude, what are you doing? Though at first, you know, the players are still getting the feel for their characters, so the ones who had to get in his face was the NPCs, when he tried to talk over the Bannerman's lord. And that guy was like, what the hell? You know, I was talking here. In the words of The Rock, know your role and shut your mouth.
Right.
So, they are feasting this Night's Watchman when they receive a raven from House Bloodsong. Their name is House Etterstaff, by the way. We got all the names sectioned away. Lord Rylan Bloodsong requires the aid politically, not martially, because if it was something martial, he could handle it, of House Etterstaff, who is his liege lord. The Lord, Vin Etterstaff, decides this would be a good learning opportunity for his heir, Gavin. So he sends Gavin, his brother, who's the captain of arms, and the maester and his bastard son, Russell Snow.
I'm seeing snow as a very common theme.
Well, he's actually, we wrote up a background where he's from the north, and there's this whole trial of passage, rite of passage, coming of age thing that the Etterstaffs do, because their founder, kind of like Bran the Builder and all the other legendary heroes, he was one of those types that helped establish all of the road systems of the Seven Kingdoms. So he helped make travel between the Seven Kingdoms easier by getting the kingdoms to at least, work together to construct them way back in the day when the first men in the Andals first settled Westeros.
Okay.
So the coming of age ceremony is that you have to collect a feather from a bird that is native only to that region, that kingdom, from all Seven Kingdoms. There's also a running joke about a red goat because for some reason the player who plays the knightly brother of the Lord really despises the idea of the House Sigil being a goat. And everyone else just keeps kind of trolling him with the red goat as having been a joke that the siblings will sometimes play on each other when they do the rite of passage. Particularly that the Lord, when his brother's rite of passage came up, instead of bringing out his horse, he brought out a goat that he'd painted red and said, "There's your mount." So, the Bloodsongs are a banner house that is weak in influence and wealth, but strong in just sheer manpower. They've got fairly competent warriors. They've got really good armor and weapons. But they don't have much in terms of everything else. This is partially, their influence would actually be higher, except for the problem is they tend to take a little bit of a Dornish approach with bastardry. So that means that the bastard brother of Lord Bloodsong actually holds almost as much authority in the house as he does, and he's the castellan and the sergeant at arms, man at arms, captain at arms. Yeah, basically the head of he's the head of the defense of the castle, and he's the head of the training for all of the men. And we seem to have lost CJ. Well, at this point, I'll just keep going on about what happened in the Game of Thrones session, which was really fun. So they get this raven saying, "Come help. We have a problem with my brother," which his name is Cedric Flowers. So Cedric Flowers, being the captain at arms, they arrive at the Bloodsongs, and after going through, House Etterstaff's castle, they both have small castles, which is quite nice. So a small castle's probably, it's not like Storm's End or Winterfell. It's more like, I'm trying to think of a good equivalent of a castle. Dang, what's a good equivalent of a castle? It's not the Red Keep. They show nothing. Castle Black. I guess Castle Black, if Castle Black had walls, would be the equivalent of a small castle, I think, maybe. Yeah, so Castle Blackish in size with strong walls around it. And they get there, and the Night's Watchman, Axel, came with them. thinking he could, at best, save a couple of men from the executioner's block trying to get some recruits for the wall. And they get there, they find out that the bastard brother has been captured by a rival house, which I use House Westbrook as an example. House Westbrook's one of those houses that there's a single sentence description of them in the entire Song of Ice and Fire, Game of Thrones, anything. So they're very open for me to just kind of mess around with them. And generally create whatever I want out of them. House Westbrook, keep in mind, all of these houses are in the Reach, which is the most southern part right before you get to Dorne, and they're in an area called the Dornish Marches. The Dornish Marches are the border region, mountains and plains and hills between the Reach and Dorne, which the Reach and Dorne do not have a good relationship at all. I'm just cleaning off all these mold lines on these on this Pigapult. Fairly excited to get this model together. Excuse me, let me get a drink of water. Gave plasma today, so making sure to stay hydrated. Always stay hydrated whenever you're donating blood or plasma. So, what ends up happening here is the Cedric Flowers, the brother to Lord Ryman Bloodsong, was ordered out to confront some Westbrook men who, without the Lord's leave, came upon their lands. They claimed they were hunting a rapist who had raped a septa in their lands. One thing led to another, and they're both accusing each other of having attacked the other in self-defense. And they captured Cedric Flowers because his squadron of men killed 3 Westbrook men, and the Westbrooks killed 2 Bloodsong men. And it's just a general coming up in arms, going, hey, you screwed my stuff up. And now they have Lord Bloodsong's brother, and he could roll in there with his men and easily sack all of West Haven, which is Westbrook's little town that they have a hall in where they're based out of. It's not much. They're a very minor house. The other problem is that the town and the house is sworn, Westbrooks are sworn to Randall Tarley of Horn Hill. If you've read the books, you will know that Randall Tarley, well, even if you haven't read the books, if you've seen Samwell Tarley, look how he treats his own son. This man's a vicious one. I mean, he's nasty. And sorry, a second. I'm trying to get this really bad mold line. Some little concentration there. And to do this the right way, the way his lord would want him to, he contacts, the player's house, and they're trying to figure out a way to extricate Cedric from this situation without resorting to war, which is what, the Bloodsongs will do if they don't, thus causing all sorts of problems. Because the other thing is they do not have a good relationship with Randall Tarley. Greenleaf Terrain is with us. Hey, Greenleaf. He's going to fill up his car, and he will be back to watch in a bit. Okay, cool. Just talking about my Game of Thrones game anyway, so. All right, now I'm going to actually look at the instructions here because I've got both sides of this put together now. Let's see here. Let's make this bigger. Excuse me. So it looks like these 2 bits fit in here. All right, so I need to clean these little parts off. Just trying to figure out which parts go to what. So they meet and talk with Lord Bloodsong. This is the part where the Maester starts trying to tell the Lord and the Lordlings what to do, and Lord Bloodsong doesn't like him. Basically, pretty much tells him more or less to shut up for all rights and purposes, because he's not a lord. He's just a Maester. And Lord Bloodsong is a little rough around the edges. That's why his influence isn't high. If you want an idea of who he kind of acts like, imagine a more regal version of Great John Umber, in terms of like, you know, flouting himself and only respecting strength and all that jazz. And that's kind of how the Bloodsongs are. They are based off of they're actually born of, their founder was a bastard risen to nobility. And they're pretty much have a symbiotic relationship with the other staffs, because the other staffs, they have no armies. They actually don't have much more than household guard, which isn't even considered a unit in the game. Whereas the Bloodsongs have like 600 or 700 men, and then the enemies of the other staffs all have like something like 1,000 to 1,500 men apiece. So the other staffs desperately need to keep the Bloodsongs loyal and around. And that's why getting Cedric out of this situation is so key, because even though people don't really care about bastards in Westeros, and they actually look down on them, they know Lord Bloodsong really cares about his brother and would go to great lengths to make sure he's freed. And the men also respect Cedric. Cedric's a little rough around the edges, but he's kind of, you know, the guy who gets things done around there. You know, Lord Bloodsong has to do the courtly stuff at times. He's still a great warrior, but Cedric's the one who trains the men. He's the one who makes sure the troops are trained and fed and everything, all that stuff. So the men would be more than happy to go to war to get Cedric out. So they actually go and they meet the Westbrooks finally. They go there with 20 cavalry as an escort, and they meet with the Westbrooks, and upon getting a very bad reaction, you know, from the Westbrooks, you know, getting treated like crap. So if you've watched Game of Thrones, you know that the laws of hospitality are a big thing. So if you get salt and bread and water, you're considered safe. Like your guests can't they can't do anything to you while you're there. So immediately upon getting there, they ask for, you know, salt, bread, and water, and they concede, and, you know, they get their salt and bread and water. Except they bring them bread and wine. The wine is off, and the bread is stale and really nasty in general. So immediately they're getting the picture of how the Westbrooks feel about these people. They just served the heir to a noble house more powerful than themselves crappy bread and crappy wine. And it's obviously so crappy. So they choke down just a small amount. And then it's the Castellan is very snooty, and they have to like argue with him for a really long time just to get an audience with Lord Westbrook. His name is like Lord Elias Westbrook. And he actually has a nickname that the players have started to call him. He's like a 300-pound man who comes out and sits down, and they start calling him Lord Fat Ass. Just because he's rude and he's condescending, and he just, you know, generally is a mean-spirited person. So that, you know, they start snickering behind his back, calling him that, and, you know, almost get into trouble when he hears it, and he almost messes them up badly. So they start arguing with him, and they find out that that Cedric Flowers is being held in the dungeon, which is, you know, more or less just a cellar with bars in that particular area. So while they're doing that, now keep in mind that's the Maester, the Lord's brother, and the heir are there. They decided, considering the attitude these people are taking, best not to have the bastard at that. So where does the bastard go? The brothel. Decide, because he took the lascivious benefit. So he is a bit of a whoremonger, you know, like Robert Baratheon, taking after him just a little bit there. So he goes to the brothel. And let's see here. That's one of the things I really do like about Weird Games as models, though, is these little spots right here. Got these parts. It's very, there's no confusion about what parts go where for the most part. That can be a bad thing sometimes. I've heard a lot of people complain that if you don't find the exact right way that a weird model is supposed to go together, then you're SOL. Like you have to shave it down or you have to force it. Wonderful looking models. When I went to get the N3 book for myself the other day for my birthday, I was actually torn. I was kind of torn to get some of the new Bayou Gremlins that came out, but I decided not to because I already have a ton of Bayou Gremlins to put together. It'll take me another couple of weeks to get all of these, you know, a couple of weeks of shows to get these all together. And I just thought to myself, I'm not going to be able to use these very soon because, you know, I'm also going to be learning, so I'm not going to be playing very huge battles for a while. And I just thought to myself, I'll get the Infinity Rules instead. Put some more glue in there because that just fell right out. Okay, get in there, you. All right, leave that there for a minute to dry while I put together the next parts. Aha! Let me grab the box for a second. I want to see how this goes. I see how that works now. So this little doohickey is one of those little fiddly bits. I'll clean off this part because this will be the next part that goes on anyway. So the bastard is at the brothel. Unbeknownst to him, he sees 3 Westbrook guardsmen come in, and one of them, you know, gets a bunch of girls, and you know, he's over there hanging out with a girl on his lap, chatting, you know, possibly getting ready to go back to the back room. And he kind of mentions, you know, over there, because he noticed, you know, he eyeballs them a little bit, and he notices that one of them's slinging around quite a bit of money, like more money than the average guardsman should be slinging around. Does a little inquiring to the brothel ladies and finds out that John, the guardsman, has been spending something like 100 stags a week on him and his friends the past month. Now, in Westeros, silver stags takes like 200 silver stags to make a gold dragon, and something like 600 copper stars to make a silver stag. So that's not a small amount of money. So he's basically been spending the equivalent of 2 gold dragons a month on booze and whores. Wouldn't be Song of Ice and Fire if there wasn't booze and whores and all sorts of other horrible stuff. So, you know, he kind of is interested, so he goes over and inquires and, you know, asks him, whoa, how have you got all that money? And the guy tells him, you know, in no uncertain terms, to fuck off. And he does. He decides to leave. He decides this is information that needs to be figured out at a later point, and just wants to defuse the situation. Then they're talking. Then we go back to the, you know, the dinner, because we're bouncing back and forth between these 2 scenes. And in the dinner, they're talking with Lord Westbrook, and find out that the head of the guard that led the squadron into the Bloodsong lands and also claimed all the everything that happened with Cedric was in self-defense, happens to be John. So they're just sort of like, well, we need to go talk to this John fellow after dinner or something. Meanwhile, at the brothel, they find out that, well, they don't find out. This is just the bastard is at the brothel. He's leaving the brothel, and he gets about a minute after he leaves the brothel, he's headed towards the hall. This is also the middle of winter, so there's snow everywhere. He heads to the hall, and that's when John and his buddies come out of the brothel and attack him. But they're all wearing armor, so there was no major injuries. Russell ended up taking a couple points of damage from some punches, and all end up drawing weapons at one point. And it looks like Russell is eventually going to go down, and he spends a destiny point to have a random guardsman who isn't a member of John's squad come around the corner and basically go, "Hey, you get stop doing that over there." And it causes the guardsman to basically leave him alone, and he goes and talks with the other players, and they're sort of talking about, well, we need to talk to this John fellow. But then Cedric's trial is in the morning. They've also sent a raven at this point to House Bloodsong to tell him what's going on and what they're attempting to do. So the session actually ends at this point, and tomorrow night we're gonna kind of go through with this situation that's developed. Lord Bloodsong arrives that morning with 100 of his men. This is not including that he also sent 20 cavalry. This is way more than House Westbrook has as its command. House Westbrook has maybe like a couple of small squadrons. They don't even have a proper unit for the warfare system. So they have like less than 50 men at their command. So really all this started over was a case of, what are you doing in my house? Why are you in my house? And the Westbrooks are just really cocky, arrogant, got no place to be that way types that think they can waltz on other people's lands just because they have a bad reputation. And they're learning the hard way that the Westbrooks are not to be screwed with. Or the Westbrooks are learning that the Bloodsongs are not to be screwed with. And this is generally leading to a very bad scenario that the players are the ones who end up with the worst part of it. Because, the Bloodsongs could go to war against the Westbrooks, and then the Westbrooks are going to tell their liege, Randall Tarley, hey, these guys are going to war against us, and Randall Tarley's going to do one of two things. He's either going to look to the Etterstaffs to get their house in order, which is going to cause them to be like, they're either going to manage to get their house in order and somehow strong-arm Lord Bloodsong into not doing the things that he wants to do to save his brother. Or they're going to not do it, and then Randall Tarley could get involved and possibly really get an excuse to basically go in and kick teeth in really hard. All while they're also trying to figure out what's going on with this guardsman who is suddenly accumulating massive amounts of money. And keep in mind that Cedric is also claiming self-defense, that the Westbrook men attacked first, and the Westbrook men, John, is claiming that the Bloodsong men attacked first. Obviously, there's, from a GM player standpoint, this is the hook in the mouth. Hey, this is what's going on. You need to go look at this over here, But it could still go numerous ways because, one, they have to be able to communicate with the NPCs at this point. Like the first thing when Lord Bloodsong arrived at West Haven was, very clear that they were offering good hospitality to Lord Bloodsong to try and not only diffuse the situation, to keep the Westbrooks safe for at least a night until they can figure out what the hell to do, because they're horribly outnumbered at this point. So there's numerous ways this could go. Now, obviously, if they investigate John. They also know he has a short temper. So they're hoping to expose him at the trial and get him to exhibit his short-temperedness and possibly, you know, show that he's making far more income than he should be for his rank and status. Which, you know, if they do that, then, you know, that could go well in their favor quite a bit. All right, so let's take a look at the Pigapult. Yep, looks like I glued this side into the wrong one. Pull that off. All right. Okay, so let's go ahead and glue this other one in real quick. And we'll glue the top on. Overall, not as complex a kit as I was expecting. I was expecting it to be a little bit more complex, but it's really just a lot of fiddly bits on everything. Because I'm going to put the catapult together first, then I'll put the pig together. Put him on top. And then we'll put together the little gremlin. Oh, Greenleaf asked what I'm working on. You missed it at the beginning, but I'm working on a Pigapult. You can see right there. It's a Malifaux Pigapult. Little model. Does not look like it's going to fit on the base yet again. Something a trend here with Malifaux. Oh well. I will just have to go in and build up a scenic base. I found some of my corking. I've got to find the other parts of my cork material. It's somewhere in the studio. I just haven't had to use it for a bit. So that's generally where my Song of Ice and Fire game is going right now. It's pretty fun. We also are starting that Kill Teams League for Warhammer 40,000. That's going to be pretty fun. Got about something like 10 or 12 players that are interested in doing it right now. It was just me doing Chaos Nurgle Marines just because I was like, I want to do Chaos Nurgle Marines. But then all of a sudden, all these other guys, friends of my friend Sergio, decided they wanted to do that too. So now we've got a ton of people playing Chaos. And he posted a really fun picture of a Chaos Lord like, raising his axes and just all like, you know, we're gonna kick this thing in. So we're using the I think it's the Heralds of Ruin set of Kill Teams rules for 40K. And you're going to see over the next month or so as we gear up for that, because we're going to start the league here in about a week, or it's not a league, it is a tournament. Not tournament, campaign. Campaign. The words that are coming out of my mouth are campaign. Okay, yeah, that's what I meant to say. Just take a little bit of that foam to get this. There we go. Yeah, that is not a very big catapult. So am I the only one that kind of feels like there should be a brace back here? I mean, there isn't one. I've checked the instructions in the box. But it feels like there should be a brace back here. I might just get a piece of plastic card and add it to it later on. I don't know. We'll see. But yeah, no brace back there. But yeah, I'll probably start working on my Nurgle Marines. At least the conversions for them. Maybe on the shows? I don't know. The Nurgle Marines are probably going to be more of a kind of a casual thing because, you know, this is just assembling, but the Nurgle Marines are going to be a lot of conversions. I have a lot of Plague Marines that I'm using that I've just, you know, acquired. You know, I acquire random figures from time to time. People don't want them anymore. They trade them in and stuff like that. Not like a massive amount, but enough to let me dig through stuff and go, I think I'm going to use this for this, and I'm going to use that for that. Really useful with my orcs, because when we were doing the Escalation League, I only had like 5 Ludas, and I managed to kit together another 10 Ludas, actual Luda kits, out of spare bits I had in my bits boxes, which was really nice. I'm also excited to see what happens July 4th with Warhammer Fantasy, because there's been a lot of revelations with like the leaks about Sigmar. Hold on a second. CJ is asking me if he's on. He's apparently having some massive computer failures. So not sure what's going on with that at the moment. So yeah, CJ, let's see. Yeah, I don't think he's going to be able to rejoin the show today. Ah, okay. He installed a new motherboard this weekend, and he has a feeling something is going on with that. So no CJ today, apparently, on the show. He's trying to figure out what's wrong with his computer. I plan on eventually upgrading mine. All I really want to do for mine is put in another hard drive. Otherwise, it does pretty dang good. Oh, Steam sales. Steam summer sales going on right now. I've done very well about controlling my urges to buy things, mostly because I already own most of the games that I want anyway. Just because a lot of the games that I desperately want to play are not discounted very heavily right now. That could change towards the end of the sale, but I doubt it. Games like Mordheim, I would love to pick up a copy of Mordheim on the cheap. I doubt that one's going to go on sale in a big way. But I did get a couple of gifts. A friend of mine got me Gauntlet, and I tried that out for a little bit, and it was not as it wasn't as good as the nostalgia that made me put it to the top of my list told me it would be. Because we've all gotten games for nostalgia reasons. You're like, oh my god, I played this game back when I was a kid, and it was so fun. And then you're thinking to yourself, I'm not a kid anymore. Consider this as much fun as I once did. Still, I really appreciated the gift, and I really enjoyed playing it in the evening on my birthday. Wait. The biggest thing I did for my birthday that was the most fun. Oh, looky there.
So, just going to go out there and say, screw the Magic the Gathering bot, because as soon as I installed it, my computer quit recycling.
Oh, I thought you installed a new motherboard. You said it was the Magic the Gathering bot?
Yeah, I logged back into Magic the Gathering Online, and I found a bot where like it can trade while I'm at work or whatever, because I've got a bunch of extras that I don't need them. I'm trying to get a whole bunch of cards I don't have. And so I installed it, and apparently that was causing the issue, because as soon as I uninstalled it, wasn't an issue anymore. And that's what kept popping up and freezing as this PC started auto rebooting itself. So I'm just not going to bother.
Magic the Gathering ruins our night yet again. So CJ, I hate to tell you this, but I already went over what happened to the session completely. You will have to go back and watch the show afterwards.
That's fine. That's fine.
Because I don't think everybody wants to hear me.
I tried for this to work, and apparently the Google Plus app does not really do anything. So
yes, expect weekly updates on the shenanigans that goes on in my Song of Ice and Fire game.
Sounds good.
So no, I was talking about what I was doing on my birthday, and I got to play a war game. I got to play BattleTech.
Yeah, I think I saw some pictures that you threw up on Facebook on that.
I got my ass kicked. I got my ass kicked hard.
Nice.
It wasn't even the worst part of it is the deck was stacked in my favor. I was playing clans,
So I'm not very familiar with BattleTech. You're going to have to
all right.
take baby steps with me.
So there was the era that I got into BattleTech and really enjoyed it was in the 90s with the clan invasion. There is this area called the Inner Sphere. At one point, there was this grand, I think it's called the Star Command. There was this big conglomeration of like a galactic, empire, mighty golden age, and then everything went to crap. And the Inner Sphere is what's left over, all these little various like faction sections of the galaxy. And the Inner Sphere was then invaded by the original founders of the Golden Age, which went off into unknown space and formed the clans. And these are for like super honor-driven, code-driven mecha warrior combatant types. And the thing is clans have better tech, better weapons, better armor, better everything. So because in BattleTech you use tonnage to figure out what your matches are. So you say we're going to play a 200-ton match. You know what I mean? So that's how many mechs you get to build from.
Okay.
I could take a mech that is the same classification as yours, and mine will be better because I am clan and you are Inner Sphere.
Okay.
Because this is how it goes. But I was playing clans, and he even had it stacked against me to where I had 5 mechs, and he had 4 mechs because that's also how clan rolls. Clan rolls in units of 5, I guess. This is also the first game of BattleTech I've played in something like 3 years.
Okay.
I'd only played 2 games of BattleTech then. And then I hadn't played since I was like 14. This is the first war game I technically ever played. And, well, a friend of mine posted on my Facebook when he saw me uploading pictures of me and Gary playing. In the very first beginning of the game, Gary moves his mech into water, makes a piloting check because you have to make a piloting check every time you move into water, fails it, and falls flat on his back, doing 3 points of damage to his back armor. So we're like, well, this is a good start to the game.
Yeah.
Mind Gary is taking the weaker force technically, considering I haven't played in forever. By the end of the game, I have 3 mechs blown up, 4 mechs have had their arms or legs blown off, and all of his mechs, while heavily damaged in some areas, are still standing. There was 1 mech that I got repeated headshots on, which the more headshots you take, the harder it is for your pilot to stay conscious.
Okay.
And he kept staying conscious. Like, all I had to do was at one point, he took 4 headshots, and if you take 5 headshots, you're just dead.
Okay.
But he took 4 headshots, and every time he stayed conscious, he's like, now I don't have to worry about consciousness rolls, because if you hit me in the head again, I'm dead. But he basically just whipped my butt. The dice were not with me.
Wow.
But you know what? It was still fun. Because
Yeah.
I haven't played BattleTech in forever, and it is such a fun game. And you know what I'll be getting back into eventually.
Okay. So I have found a new glue that I like as opposed to the Privateer Press stuff that I was using.
What is that?
Scotch. Scotch super glue.
Scotch super glue?
Yep. It's got these little, you can kind of see here, the lines. It's easy to squeeze so you can really control how much is coming out. It's kind of a gel formula.
Use Maxi
well,
Gear.
I looked for that, and I couldn't find that at any of my FLGSs. So
I get it at the Hobby Stop, located at 327 East, 1200 South, Orem, Utah. When you buy glue at Hobby Stop.
I'm a little out of the way there.
Yeah, you always have it shipped to you. Who cares that you're over a state away? Buy your glue locally here.
I'm not seeing this fit.
What are you working on today?
Crap. I'm trying to put together the rest of my circle or Boros. These are the archers.
Is that going well?
Not terribly.
Having problems there, are we?
Yep. Can't tell which way these arms are supposed to be aimed. That's the one thing I don't like about the privateer press models is like they have to go a certain way. You can't pose them really.
Yeah, it's kind of the same way with the Malifaux models. I mean, they're not bad models. Oh, almost lost a face. It's just they're not posable. So I think that's the one thing we're kind of spoiled on from G-Dub. It's the posability.
Yeah, they are light years ahead with their special CAD designed models.
Because then you get like you know, any other manufacturer, even Infinity. I mean, it's hard to repose things. They're all built to a certain scale, which isn't a bad thing. I think it's the sacrifice we make to not have to pay out the nose for models.
Yeah. In fact, that thing that we had talked about the last couple episodes, I have determined what I'm going to buy my friends to get them into several miniature games.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So I basically just bombarded them with text messages, 3 of my best friends, and picture messages like, hey, between these boxes, which one looks the coolest? Oh, such and such. And the lore behind these 3 things, which do you think is the coolest? Oh, this one. So I've basically compiled a list of, what is it? Drop Zone Commander, Infinity, Malifaux, and Warmahordes. Basically the starter boxes that they've all got. And for each of their birthdays this year, I am going to purchase all of that stuff for them, so about $200 to $300 worth of stuff a piece, to get them into the game. And they are 3 of my really good friends, so I don't mind paying that because I don't really buy anybody presents, so they've known me long enough. It's about time I probably bought them something. Oh,
I have a feeling I'm going to have to do that with some games.
yeah. These guys are all die-hard Magic the Gathering fans, so I'm trying to get them to try some other stuff. 2 of them are actually in my Pathfinder group.
Nice.
But yeah, I think it'll be kind of cool to give them a chance to try that all. I love how this one glued together. He's like, if you can see with his arm there, he's like, peace. I just hit somebody in the face. They won't focus on that. But
yeah, the Pigapult had a bit of a strange thing going on with it. Would you like to see the strange thing that I found about the Pigapult that was a little weird?
Yes, please.
Yeah,
Because actually, that's one of them. Is my buddy Jeff is going to get Gabos, so he's going to get a Pigapult. And I know once he sees the Pigapult model, he's going to be like, "That's the coolest thing ever."
All right, so here's the box for the Pigapult, right?
Right.
You have to look at this. Okay, that's the box. This is the sprue.
That's it.
That's it. What the hell? I mean, it had some foam in it, but I don't feel like, even with the foam, I'm just like, what the.
Interesting.
Yeah, probably what it is they have like 2 size boxes for everything, and they just load everything in there. So if it doesn't fit into one box, it goes into the other box. That's
Well, I
probably.
feel like it would fit in the other one, wouldn't it? Or is it just?
No, it probably it's because of the foam that it doesn't fit.
Okay.
I found it a little weird.
Oh no, it's definitely a little weird.
Get it? Huh? Ah! I made that joke and then you disappeared, and I was like, "Come on!"
That was it? Oh, okay.
Yeah, I made that joke earlier, and then you disappeared, and I was just like, "Ah, that's not cool. Why did he have to suddenly disappear when I made a horrible joke?" Okay, so the one thing I will say about the Pigapult I don't like is it does not. So here's the actual catapult. It doesn't have a brace right here. Like, it feels like it should have a brace.
Yeah.
I may go in and take a little piece of balsa wood and make an extra brace. Because all it has is the front, and it just makes no sense why it...
No, that doesn't make sense at all. I mean, it's Gabos, so maybe they don't make sense. But
still,
yeah.
Point stands.
Yeah, so I was going to give my buddies the Gabos, or one of them was Gabos. Another one was going to be 10 Thunders, because he kind of likes ninjas. And then the last one was going to be Outcasts. And then that means that I will be able to collect the 4 factions I want to, which are Resurrectionists, Neverborn, Arcanists, and the Guild.
Mm-hmm. So, I guess since you haven't read the books, you don't know his technical name.
Who's technically?
Arnold Strong.
No, I do not.
The new Kingsguard.
Yeah, I don't think I know.
Qyburn's man that he's been working on. You know what I'm talking about?
No.
Sir Gregor Clegane, how he started like fixing him up after the battle with Oberyn Martell.
The mountain.
The Mountain.
Yes.
Thank you.
In the books, he's known as Sir Arnold Strong, or Sir Robert Strong, or something like that.
Okay.
But I was really excited to see him in the last episode.
Franken Mountain.
Franken Mountain. It's actually going to be kind of terrifying to see what happens next season, because that is pretty much... So here's the thing. We have seen everything with Cersei's story that has happened in the books now. At this point, we are completely caught up to the books. So everything from here on in, if we don't get Winds of Winter, is going to be all new, like for both book readers and for show watchers. So what was your favorite scenes from this season?
The season as a whole?
Yes.
Hands down, the White Walker battle.
Yeah, I'm going to say that was like the strongest of them all.
Greatest thing I have ever seen with my eyes. It was so good, I had to watch it again the next night.
I've watched the clips again, just the battle. Like, not the whole episode, but the battle. Oh, by the way, have you seen this this Game of Thrones Telltale Games Steam game they have?
The what now?
Okay, Telltale Games. They make the game A Wolf Among Us on Steam.
Okay, no, I have not seen it on Steam yet.
I watched a small trailer for it, and then I watched like the first 10 minutes of gameplay. And while it's a click adventure, you know, kind of like old Monkey Island kind of style.
Okay.
Like there's times when you have to like, when a horse is about to stomp you and you have to click right rapidly, you know, that kind of thing. That's the most action-y it gets. It's mostly just picking dialogue options. But story-wise, it's really solid, and it has a bunch of the actors from the show on it. Because I actually played the Game of Thrones RPG like last year, and it wasn't that great, but I liked it because it was Game of Thrones. It was actually a pretty horrible RPG, but it was Game of Thrones. So the fact that it had the background, I got to play a Red Priest and a Night's Watchman, made me enjoy the game all the better.
Okay.
I only played through it once, and then I watched the alternate endings on YouTube. Because I was like, I'm not going to go through it again. But it seems like a pretty fun game. Let me take a look-see here. Okay, that's where that goes. Pulling in the cord. The cord that holds the hook. So I have a question for you, CJ.
All right.
If you could play a character from the Seven Kingdoms in a role-playing game for Game of Thrones, what kind of character would you play?
Oh God, I couldn't even tell you. It would probably be somebody against up on the Night's Watch.
Do you play a Night's Watchman?
I think so, yeah.
Well, assuming you could not play a Night's Watchman, what would you play?
Night's Watchman. Let's see.
Oh, this thing sucks.
I really don't know.
CJ, this little rope with the hook is so full of suck. Let me see if this works. It's the fiddly bits that get you with weird models. It always is with the fiddly bits.
I still prefer the new plastic ones than the metal ones, because when I tried to put together those metal zombies, it was a nightmare. They were too thin to pin. It's just
Actually, I don't think I had as many problems with the metals as I've had with the plastics.
the metals. I could never get them glued together. I couldn't pin them because they were too thin.
Well, unfortunately, it doesn't fit flush, and I know this is one of those ones that is a minor gripe on my part. See, the hook, I was actually trying to get the rope down in the hook,
That makes sense.
but it's not quite there, and I'm just sort of like, I'm just going to call that done, because it's one of those minor gripes that's more of my perfectionist nature and not necessarily that it's off.
You can't bend it down a little bit.
The way that the thing glues in, I could, but it would probably like put pressure on it and break something, and it's so tiny. No, I just don't want to mess with it. That's kind of the frustration I've gained with weird miniatures is after the mosquito antennae, I am just sort of like, yep, if I can get it 95% where it needs to be, I'm not going to sweat the last 5.
All right. So we got all these. Now I need to glue these things on.
Oh, and of course, like other weird miniatures, it doesn't fit on the base. You know what? I call that just a scenic base opportunity, don't you?
More jokes?
What?
More jokes?
No, a scenic base opportunity.
Oh, gotcha. Yes, actually. No, that would actually work out really well. So the question is, where do these get pinned? There.
CJ, who is your favorite house in Game of Thrones?
Stark, no question.
Stark?
Yep.
So you were probably kind of happy seeing the episodes, how they went with Sansa, right?
Aside from her basically getting raped, I was glad to see Sansa not be a little bitch and things kind of, getting a backbone and whatnot.
I will say, that was unexpected.
Her getting a backbone or her getting raped?
Both. Because, I mean, that's probably one of the ones they changed the most from the books. Because in the books, it wasn't Sansa.
Really?
No, yeah. In the books, Sansa was still hanging out with Littlefinger in the Eyrie. She was actually posing as Littlefinger's bastard daughter. You remember how he started to feed them that line last season, and then she came out and said, "No, I'm actually Sansa Stark."
Yeah.
No, in the books, she fed them that line, and they believed it.
Okay.
No, in the books, it was Jane Poole, Sansa's best friend, was sent to Winterfell to act as Arya. And she married Ramsay, and then all that horrible stuff happened to her. So I should have saw it coming when they kind of replaced, the the fake Arya with Sansa. Should have saw that coming, but I didn't. I kept thinking, you know, they've diverged enough. Maybe Theon will actually grow a pair again. But
yeah, no, that's exactly what I told that to my boss today. We were talking about it. I'm like, so it's really nice to see him, you know, pretend like he still has a pair.
even though he doesn't.
He doesn't. But it was nice to see him pretend like he did.
And then Varys showing up in Marine was really nice because it was like, aw, Tyrion has a sidekick again. I do like the setup, setting up Tyrion to rule Marine while Daenerys is away.
Yeah.
I think that could be very interesting, especially when Varys goes on about, you know, who could possibly, you know, take control of such an ungainly beast as this city. Full of all this
Maybe
strife.
somebody who has a little experience in the matter.
And you know, Tyrion is like just basically ready to put his sunglasses on and be like, I got this. It's like, what, Marine? I grew up in King's motherfucking Landing.
Nice. We got that head. We got 3 heads. We've got. What's that? Yes, I believe he did. My roommate was just trying to verify if Tyrion grew up in Casterly Rock.
Yes, I meant that he was in King's Landing, like kicking ass and taking names. That's what I meant. Words, you know, coming out of my mouth, sometimes they fail.
We all failed. Let's see here. All right, so I know the bottom portions of this thing.
Greenleaf, if you are still watching, you should join us on a show one day.
Yeah, just throw on the camera.
Yeah, you don't have to do much other than like bullshit with us and work on stuff. You should do that. Same for Black Tower Terrain if he's watching. We don't really have a lot of viewers tonight. I blame that mostly on me not posting the show till like the last minute.
Oh no, you can totally blame that on me and my technical difficulties.
No, I mean we haven't had a lot of viewers in general tonight. It's not like a holiday or something, is it?
No, next weekend is Father's Day.
Has a pig. Putting the pig's arms on.
Have you seen that poster that's going around at all the Best Buys right now? Celebrate Father's Day with all the seasons of Game of Thrones, and then the 3 people that are on the poster are Jon Snow, Daenerys Targaryen, and Tyrion Lannister.
Oh, shit. That's great. I have not seen this, and I kind of want it now.
It's so great. It's like, well played, HBO. Well played.
Father situations ever. My dad's dead, and I killed my father. All right, I have a question for you, sir.
All right.
Thoros of Myr doesn't show up in Westeros until Robert takes the throne. But in the video game, they had a guy who showed up after Thoros of Myr, Alistair Sarwick, who used to be like a noble and then went over the Narrow Sea and joined the Red Priesthood. What do you think about me including a Red Priest eventually in my game? Do you think that would be overkill, or do you think it would be interesting?
I think that would be actually kind of interesting.
Because, I mean, I brought the Night's Watchman in there early on just to kind of add to the, you know, to basically put an NPC along with them that could make observations to kind of hint at the players till they all get into the feel of their characters.
Right.
And it's also kind of a trump card to make sure Cedric Flowers doesn't get killed if the players just really drop the ball. Because, he can always hint that, rather than executing him, you can always let him take the black, which, is supposed to be an honorable thing to do. And they are in the Reach, which is like the most honorable place in the Seven Kingdoms.
Yeah.
Question is how would I bring a Red Priest into this? What do you think would be a good way? Any ideas?
I'm trying to think. I need to know a lot more about the lore, I think. Possibly stumbling across either the priest being in a really bad situation that he can't get out on his own, or one where he's doing some kind of ritual or something to...
I don't think making a Red Priest an antagonist would be the best way to go, but maybe them discovering and saving him from a situation would be a good way to go.
Yeah, that would probably work.
Kind of make him a very weak character in a lot of ways, and he just kind of becomes a tag-along. But then over time, they realize he really actually does have powers, and he at some point he just does something that makes them go, "Holy shit!" Does something with his fire god powers or some sort, because that's how they do sometimes.
Yeah, that was actually something I was going to bring up to you. Tell me more about the Stone Woman, or the Stone Mother, or whatever it is, because I keep hearing about her, but I don't know much about.
Lady Stoneheart. It's a bit of a spoiler. Do you really want me to tell you, because they may show up next season?
All I know is that it may be Lady Stark.
Yes, Lady Stoneheart in the book. Beric Dondarrion and the Brotherhood Without Banners found her washed up on the shores of the Trident because the Freys tossed her off the bridge after they killed her.
Okay.
And Beric Dondarrion was like, telling Thoros, you have to breathe life back into her. He's like, she's too far gone, and I'm not going to do that. So Beric kisses her and passes his fire onto her, and Beric dies. But the problem is Thoros was right. She is too far gone. She is, because she's been in the river for days. So a body in the river for days, suddenly resurrected. Let you think about that for a minute.
She's probably like a swamp hag.
Oh, yes. But that's also where they diverged very heavily. So even if they bring her into it, which there's a good chance they may not, which is why I feel like they're gonna continue it with like Melisandre and Jon Snow instead. Because I don't think Melisandre stayed behind in the books.
Stayed behind
At Castle Black. I don't think she journeyed back.
Okay.
I am happy to see that Davos is still around.
Who's that?
Davos Seaworth. I'm happy to see.
Oh, Davos. Yeah.
He actually played a completely different part in the books around that whole thing. They kind of cut out the whole White Harbor plotline, which I felt like could have been a really big, nice add to it all. But in the books, because you know how Osha ran off with Rickon, right?
Yes.
In the books, Lord Manderley of White Harbor wants to try and find Rickon Stark so that he can get the Boltons out of control and get the Starks back in their seat of power. Because technically, if they think Rickon's alive, his claim would be stronger than Sansa's.
Because he's a guy.
Okay.
Of course, in the books, it's also Arya, not Sansa, that they're trying to use the claim of to hold the North. But either way, you know, a son's claim would be stronger than a daughter's claim.
Right.
All right, I will admit that's pretty cool looking.
Yeah.
Did you just snort like a pig?
Yep, pretty much.
All right, let's see. There we go. We have a pig on a pult.
It's a Pigapult. I mean, it's pretty
But
sure.
here is the base. See, look, it doesn't even fit fully on the base. I shall have to create scenic rocks. And I have a feeling the Pigapult will be mounted at an angle, you know, to give it proper pig launching action.
Proper pig launching action.
You cannot underestimate the physics of sending a pig through the air in a slightly vertical and horizontal manner that shall bring it crashing down upon you, making many snorts of pain. It was a little bit of a Bayou science for you right there. Come on, you enjoy the Bayou science. You know you do.
I do. I do. And that one probably goes here. That goes there. Got a lot of pieces to glue here.
How's your armies coming along? How many you got assembled?
This will wrap up number 2 tonight. It does look like I'll be able to place an order on the Kador one. There's 4 of them available online right now. Don't know how it went from 2 to 4, but I will take it. So I'll go ahead and place the order on that this Thursday. And then hopefully I'll have all 4 factions that I want.
Oh, I have a cool new project I just picked up a deposit for that I'm going to be building alongside the others. Well, not alongside, because one of the things I've come to the conclusion that I really need to stop doing is I can't work on multiple projects at once. I have to do them in order to completion, one by one.
Yep.
Because if I don't do that, then I end up working on a ton of them and never finishing any of them in a timely manner.
That's kind of what my issue is with games collecting. That's why I'm trying to focus on War Mahords right now, and then so on and so forth.
That's why I'm doing the Malifaux on these shows until all the Malifaux is built. These shows are essentially assembly shows for me, because painting I get too into it and I concentrate too much. I'll probably, once the Malifaux is done, I will take an evening each week to paint on my models.
Yeah.
That will be non-show. That will probably be me just hanging out.
After I get all these assembled, I'll probably start painting on the show. But I need to order some paints. I'm not going to use UW paints.
I got another video game project.
All right. What's that?
A Mass Effect Mars Adeptus Mechanicus board. So the buildings are going to look like Mass Effect on the Mars levels. Is
this like a client's request, or is this one that you're going to just do freelance and post on the catalog?
That's client request.
Okay.
Like he's already paid the deposit and everything, and it's going to be really fun to get to work on.
Okay.
I've actually got quite a few really cool projects that I'm ready to work on as soon as I finish the Bearded Dragon boards and the Middenheim and Space Hulk. I really just want those. Like the Space Hulk one, I just need to find a day or two to sit down and paint, because it's a lot of tedious work is really what it's come down to. The Space Hulk project, I actually think I'm going to be finagling some friends into helping me finish just to get it done. Possibly some buying of pizza and beer. That's
a good plan.
Well, it's
amazing how often that works.
So here's the problem with Space Hulk. Here's the problem with her starts casting mold. This is something I wanted to do for years, because I was like, oh my god, it's so cool, it's awesome. And if I was just a dude doing wargaming, hobbying stuff for myself, it would be fun and I would enjoy it. But as I own a business, I look at it and I look at what other people are doing, and then I see other people doing it way better, and then I see the amount of time and effort and financial things it takes to do it that well. And I'm sitting here going, not worth it. Not profitable.
Yeah.
Really fun, really cool to do. But I will not be doing her starts work in the future professionally. It's not doable. prefer more to like create my own custom models and do it that way. Just because I would have to rebuild. I mean, I'll probably build a Space Hulk set, considering I own a copy of it now.
Probably still want one.
So I'll probably build one for myself, but I don't know if I'll actually put him on commission, because it's a lot of time and effort to put into making those things.
Yeah.
I don't know if you've ever messed with her starts, but it is a time-consuming beast.
I have not.
Is a very time-consuming beast. Or if I do get back into it and actually do it and decide to tackle that beast and streamline it to where it could actually, you know, it's the time that it takes to cast and the assembly combined is what makes it so difficult.
Mm-hmm.
Because you're looking at like 170 hours just for the casting and assembly.
That sounds like a lot, actually.
Oh yeah, and I mean, if you even if you calculate it up at like minimum wage, I mean, let me just do the math on that. Like, if you calculated like $7.25 an hour, which means you're not making anything really. I mean, not really. Times 170 hours. That's still over $1,200 if you wanted to charge like actual man hours. So there's no way you make any money off of those at all. This also doesn't include the fact that if you work her starts and you sell professionally, you do have to give Bruce Hurst a cut, which is fair. It's just, you know, the only way to do it is if you streamline it, make your own molds of models that you make with the casts. Because duplicating the molds is against their terms of service, but not, you know, not if you like cast your own for speed reasons. If I did that, I could possibly, you know, turn around and do a lot of it. But the problem is how many people play Space Hulk?
Yeah, I mean, not much.
Exactly.
I would.
There's also like the end of the world terrain. His entire shop is dedicated to resin casting her starts blocks. I'm sitting there looking at that. I'm going, he does this so freaking awesomely. And look what he has to do to have it set up and all this other stuff. I'm just sitting there going, I'm just going to paint miniatures and build custom stuff. Yeah. I'm just going to stick with that. So it's just a matter of, you know, time involved, really.
Yeah.
With that project. I will finish it because it's still a project I would like to see done nicely to add to my portfolio, and then put a big disclaimer that says, no, I cannot duplicate this thing unless you want to pay out the nose, which, you know, no one's going to drop that much.
No.
Or what I might ask them to do is to actually purchase it from End of the World, have it mailed to me, and then I'll paint it, and then I'll send it to them. That actually is how I would probably do it. I think I would rather do that because I probably enjoy painting it a lot more than assembling it. Because, oh, good Lord. The only proper way to mount that thing is on hardboard, and I don't know if you've ever watched my videos on when I was working on that, but it's a nightmare.
I think that one's good.
Working the goblin's little head with his pot. He's got pot armor. He's covered in leaves, that kind of stuff.
So have you heard any rumors about a 2-player Malifaux starter set coming out soon?
I have not, but depending on what factions it is, I could be interested in that.
I've heard whispers of something, but I don't have a lot of know on if it's happening or not. But on their forums, there's a couple things that I've touched on about it, and they might release something about it at Gen Con this year. I really hope so. I would like to see a 2-player starter set.
I think a 2-player starter set would be awesome for Malifaux, especially if they go the route that everyone else is, you know, making it a really good deal on the model. Yeah. So if they do that, it could be a really good thing. What I would enjoy seeing, honestly, there's a faction I haven't started. Malifaux is one of those games I could probably start like a starter box for every faction.
Yeah.
Lady Justice and the the like Ghost Rider looking dudes.
Yep.
If they did that in like some sort of simple set, and then maybe like I don't know, who else do you think would make a good starter box starter crew?
I think that Lady Justice and crap, what is her name? The one that Joey plays all the time.
Pandora?
Yes, but the actual, what is her name?
Rasputina?
Rasputina, yes. I think
Arcanist and Guild?
I think that would be a very interesting two-player set.
I also think they could pull it off with like a Resurrectionist one as well.
I think Resurrectionist and the Guild, like Lady Justice, would be the most likely option. But I think it would be cooler if it was Rasputina.
Oh God, these jaws are so small. Seriously, I had to be super careful gluing these together. These things are like less than a quarter of a penny in size. I mean, look at this.
I can't see it. It's so small.
That's how small it is.
Yes.
That was two halves that I just had to glue together for the head. Holy crap. I mean, I like the detail in the miniatures, but holy crap. These are seriously models that are so small that if you accidentally like slip and it goes flying, you ain't finding it.
Yeah, that's never fun.
I mean, it would seriously be like, guys, I'm ending the show. I'm getting my magnifying glass. I'll see you later.
I now have a goat for a thumb.
You have a goat for a thumb?
Oy. Favorite part about super glue? Super gluing my hands together. Wait, no, that's not one of my favorite parts.
So in audiobook land, I have started listening to Star Wars audiobooks because there's a lot of them that are, out and about these days.
Really?
Yeah.
I feel like there's another part to this one. So I don't lose everything. I'm trying to glue all the pieces that go together too, like all the heads and stuff for the stuff I won't use here. I need to get a new bits box. I don't want to mix this up with all my bits from Games Workshop.
Yeah, I started listening to the Darth Bane trilogy.
Oh, that went to something else. That's what. The Darth
Bane.
Darth Bane. Okay.
Do you know who Darth Bane is in Star Wars?
Vaguely.
He is the Sith Lord that instituted the Rule of Two.
Okay, yes, I do know who that is.
So I'm listening to the first one, which is called Path of Destruction, which is basically his rise from being a lowly miner in a mining facility to a Sith soldier all the way up to Sith Lord. It's a fairly good listen. I would say read, but
Yeah. So I'm going to be getting a grassy fat mat
from Frontline.
From Frontline Gaming. The grassy one.
Mm-hmm.
And then I've been looking at some bat reps online already, and it appears that that is the one that everybody is using for War Machine.
It is. I hope you were aware of this now.
I am now. Still cool. I mean, I'm planning on eventually getting a lot of, if not all
I
of them.
actually want to get the swamp one because the swamp one has a darker green on it that could be used just in general for less grassy like brightness.
I want the 3x3 swamp one for Malifaux, And then the one I really want to get is the snow one later on, but I got to have both my Khador and my Legion done before I start doing that one.
Yeah, I think next bunch of projects I get, I may purchase mine. Get that little swamp mat. Right now, all I've got is the Deep Cut Studios Wasteland mat, which is still a good mat. I mean, it doesn't hold up, to the quality of Frontline gaming, but it's still an awesome looking mat that I've played games on.
Have you seen Hexagonal Mills yet?
No, you've told me about them, but I haven't really looked at them.
Yeah, that's the one that's kind of starting to do that stuff here in town, apparently.
I noticed you had a coffee shop game store open on your Facebook.
So we've had a coffee shop game store called Enchanted Grounds. They are opening up their second location.
Well, that's good. Anytime a game store can open 2 locations.
I have never actually heard of a store successfully opening up a second location. I know that no one has in Denver before this.
With it being primarily a game store, because I've heard of stores that are like comic shops doing that and then like selling gaming stuff. But that's like a
whole
whole
bit of comic books too. He has just this tiny little corner that's probably 3 feet by 3 feet that sells some comic books. But mainly it's board games and GW, Privateer Press, and Star Wars. Basically, all the attack wings, a few RPGs, and then some Magic the Gathering. So, but it's mainly a coffee shop. People come and generally order the coffee and all that kind of stuff, and then they stick around and buy games.
nice.
It's a really good model. It's in the ritzier part of, or one of the ritzier parts of Denver. The original location in Highlands Ranch. Very excited that another location is opening up because I do love that store. That's where I go every other Thursday to play board games with some friends.
Very cool.
So those are there.
We also played Gloom on Friday night on my birthday. I introduced my friends to it.
I've always wanted to play Gloom. The one I want to buy is Cthulhu Gloom.
Well, you have to have the core, of course, but Cthulhu Gloom's a good expansion, yes.
You have to have the original to get Cthulhu Gloom?
Mhm.
Did not know that.
Yeah, each of the additional decks adds new rules and new themes to it. And Cthulhu Gloom adds Cthulhu H.P. Lovecraft rules, I believe.
So really, I should just buy all of them then.
Exactly.
Okay. I got my roommate on. Goodness, was it? It was over a week ago. We had a Saturday game day, and he tried Smash Up, which he thought was a lot of fun.
Smash Up is awesome, especially when you have cybernetic bear riders.
They're cybernetic bear riders.
Cybernetic dinosaur bear riders.
What's that?
There are also Russians.
Oh, totally.
Russians?
Mother Russia.
Yeah, I want to get all of the expansions for it. I feel that's the only way you can play.
Well, you can play it in many other ways, but it's not as awesome. All right. I believe we are now in final assembly mode.
Woohoo!
And while I would like to continue building Bayou Gremlins more after this, I've been up since ridiculously early because my plasma draw went really long today. We found out my right arm is no good.
Why's that?
I don't know. Just the machine didn't like my right arm. So my left arm did just fine, and then when they returned my blood, they had to switch me to my left arm, and my left arm, I was gone in 5 minutes. I was done. But it was just ridiculously long, so I've been up since like 5:30 this morning.
Mr. Buddy.
I
Okay.
wonder if I'm going to run out of glue again. How do I go through so much glue?
It sounds like a personal problem.
Yeah.
I have a gremlin done. I have the gremlin operator for the for this thing. Let's see. Where does he go? Hold on, does he go in between? No, he does not go in between. I see where he goes. He goes like right here, kind of hand on the lever-ish.
There we are. I'm gonna go in. So now I gotta figure out which pieces I need for this wolf and this satyr. So I don't know which is which.
I am, on the other hand, getting some of my cork to try and build this up. I mean, I'm probably going to go in and add some more later, but I just want to get at least the rough version on here real quick.
Were you a fan of Sons of Anarchy?
Yes.
You're all caught up on it?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I loved the season finale was very fitting.
The series finale, it ended the only way it could have ended.
Yeah.
And we got caught up on that this weekend, so it was great to kind of get caught up on that, or watch it again.
Love that series. Really like how it went. I mean, all the deaths of the various characters that I loved, they sucked, but it really kind of set the tone for the ending.
Yeah, it was fitting.
I mean, considering where the Suns started in that series and where they ended, it could have gone no other way.
Nope.
Okay.
I believe that goes there. I'm hoping that goes there.
Okay, now to add a little accelerant to get this cork glued into place properly.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to go find some of that stuff this weekend. I need better super glue. This one's doing all right, but apparently it's already almost empty.
You need Zap-A-Gap, possibly. I can't get Zap-A-Gap around here, so that's why I switched over to the Instaflex and the MaxiCure.
All right, so now I gotta try and remember what are the armies that come with this all in one box. I'm gonna have to go get that box from downstairs real quick.
All right. Methinks we has the Yep, we has the, well, we have, not has.
All right. So next week should be Protectorate. Week after, well, next week or two should be Protectorate. The week or two after that should be Khador. And then after that, I should be able to start painting everything.
I'm now gluing in a gremlin.
Okay, so you go up there and you go up there. This is the one with the giant hands. So not you or you. So we've got that, that, that. Is it a brawler of some kind? So it's not those ones. I gotta find out which of these shoulder pieces it is. And then, of course, it's going to be that one. So we're going to keep you. You're going to go up there. You go up there. Yep. Yep. All right, that should do that.
All right, I think we have a completed Pigapult.
Woohoo!
I'm just putting a little accelerant on the key points.
You know, you really should make it like a working Pigapult.
We might do this in a joke video in the future. Like build a life-size Pigapult in the backyard. That would probably end badly. All right, so I'm going to grab the camera and show off the Pigapult in all of its piggy glory.
Pigapult. The Pigapult.
Let me point this. All right, yeah, we're just going to go back to, all right. So put this right here. I'm going to adjust my settings real quick. I had them because of the light. Huzzah! Completed Pigapult. Check it out.
That's actually pretty cool. Like the cork there, that's going to really be really nice.
I'll give you a, yeah, it wouldn't fit on the whole thing, but if you angle it up slightly with just some rocks in the front, it actually makes a lot of sense.
Did you pin those in?
Huh?
Did you pin those in?
No, I just super glued them in.
Okay.
It's plastic. It's not, you know,
yeah.
not the end of the world.
Well, no, I just saw like a little line there. I thought you might have pinned one. So.
No, and if you were really paranoid about it, what you could do is you could actually put a layer of super glue over top, and it would soak into the cork and harden the cork really well.
Really?
Yeah, because the cork is absorbent. So if you did that, that would harden your surface area for painting. In case you were worried about like cork coming off or something.
I've never actually used the cork. I've always seen it on like models that are being used for like.
I still feel like this little back spot. Like, I still feel like this spot here, right in here, should have a little brace.
I would put one in there.
I'm going to get a little piece of balsa wood later, and I'm just going to slide it in there. Just a tiny little sliver of balsa wood, not even much. It's not actually going to reinforce anything because it's a plastic model, but it's just going to make it look better when it's painted, in my opinion.
Yeah.
I do like, though, how the gremlin, he's actually built to where his hand sits kind of on the lever. The good Lord, his head is so tiny. Let me focus in on him now.
Yep. That's really cool.
Huh?
That is really, really cool. I like that.
Pigapult! Huzzah! All right, so before we shut down the show for the night, because I'm extremely tired, and I have built my Pigapult, which is what I told you guys I would do. We're going to figure out what I'm going to build next week. I still have Bayou Gremlins left to build because I didn't build them in the meantime. Let's dig through the pile. I've got slop haulers, and then I've got Bayou Gremlins.
Which were the slop haulers?
Slop haulers are Bayou Gremlins. I'm going to build all my Bayou Gremlins first. But the question is next week, what do you guys want me to build? Slop haulers or the rest of my Bayou Gremlins? I might just do my Bayou Gremlins just to get the Masters crew completely done. But either way, only another week or so of Malifaux building to do, and then I will have my entire crew completely done. Starting to come along now. Well, anyway, guys, that is our show for the night. I'm going to go pass out now. Thanks for watching this video later, because unfortunately we just didn't have a lot of viewers tonight. We had a couple of people bounce in and out, but everyone seemed mostly busy. I'm also going to go ahead and schedule out the next month. I'll probably schedule out through July the next monthly schedule, so it sends you guys reminders to let you know when we're having a show. Every Monday, 6 o'clock Mountain Standard Time. So we will see you guys next week. Take care.
They're all